southern states are a lot different than northern states, and I know Virginia is technically in the South, but I hate to break it to you, in Louisiana, y'all are definitely Yankees. But Louisiana is a land of its own. Rules are sort of guidelines. Too short, too tall? Okay. Yeah. Start again. Rules are like guidelines. It's too hot is a valid excuse. I'm sorry I'm late, it's just too hot. Or I cannot clean the house today, it is too hot. And natural disasters like hurricanes are sort of reasons to have a party. But the most mind-boggling thing that I reflect on in my Creole childhood was that it was perfectly okay for friends and family to just show up at your house at any time without any notice for no reason at all, just to visit. And this happened to my house. Mostly in the mornings, my Uncle Dukes, my great Uncle Dukes, would just show up at the house. So imagine it's Tuesday, in the middle of morning chaos, you're getting the kids ready for school, you're getting yourself ready for work, you're trying to get breakfast on the table, you're arguing with your third grader to brush your hair and other personal hygiene habits, and your great Uncle Dukes walks in the back door, sits down at the table after pouring himself a cup of coffee, ready to complain about all the mistakes LSU made on Saturday night, and to debate the validity of coffee that doesn't have trickery in it. If that happened in my house, there would be murder. But this happened. This was my mom's mornings, and she never complained. It's just how it was. Now, my great Uncle Dukes was one of those one-of-a-kind Louisiana men that I don't even think they make anymore. He never met a stranger, always had a hug and a smile. He had a great head of hair, but he didn't have many teeth. And his name wasn't even Dukes. His name was Yule. And I don't even know why we called him Uncle Dukes, except that maybe Dukes is kind of a badass name, and Yule kind of sounds like a brand of farm equipment. But the one thing that Uncle Dukes liked most in life was fishing. In fact, I think the only thing he liked better than fishing was when my great Aunt Prue, his wife and the best cook that ever lived, would cook the fish that he caught fishing. And my Uncle Dukes' love of fishing is where this story begins. And I am not going to apologize for not starting at the beginning of the story, because if you knew anything about Louisiana stories, you know that they never start at the beginning. They start with a load of nonsense. So during these morning visits, lots of times my great Uncle Dukes would invite my mom and I to go fishing. And most of the time, my mother always had my back and would ever so politely decline. But then one morning, when I was 16 years old, and in the middle of a real long ornery streak, in a moment of spite, when my great Uncle Dukes invited us to go fishing, my mother said, "Uncle Dukes, Doodle and I," that's what she called me, Doodle, "Doodle and I, we would just love to go fishing with you." I nearly choked on my Fruit Loops. Great Uncle Dukes, I'm so sorry. My mom, my beautiful, smart, amazing mother, is mistaken. I simply possibly cannot go fishing this weekend. It is Thanksgiving break, and I have a lot of really wholesome educational plans with a small group of God-fearing friends that I can just simply not miss. Well, my mom said, Devon Shay, that's what she said when she was mad at me. Devon Shay, your friends would totally understand if you did not hang out with them, because they would never want to take away from your quality time with your mother and your great Uncle Dukes. And they probably wouldn't want to hang out with you anymore. So you wouldn't need your car, and you wouldn't need those New Kids on the Block tickets anymore, because you wouldn't have any friends to go with. Well, I quickly picked up what my mom was putting down and changed my tune real quick. Great Uncle Dukes, my mom is right. I would love to go fishing with you. Now, there are a million places to go fishing in Louisiana, some just right down the road. But according to Great Uncle Dukes, there is only one place to go on a fishing trip. And that is Grand Isle, Louisiana. Now, Grand Isle is about as far south as you can possibly go, and there is nothing grand about that isle. And after bargaining and begging and pleading, I resigned myself to my fate that I was going fishing with my mom and my Great Uncle Dukes in Grand Isle, Louisiana over Thanksgiving weekend, and I would just have to pray that my social standing within my friend group would still be intact when I came back. So I find myself at 4 a.m. in the back seat of my mother's car because I was not going to sit in the front seat next to her, on my way to Grand Isle, Louisiana for fishing. We get there, and it's cold and windy, and it is never cold in Louisiana. And I'm like, oh, it's all right. I can still, my plan of sitting in the captain's chairs on my Uncle Dukes' boat, relaxing in the sun and the water is still intact because the weather changes every hour in Louisiana, and it'll be sunny soon. So I start looking around as we're driving through Grand Isle, and I'm looking for a boutique or a shop to hit when we finish, because shopping's always fun. But I only see 2 stores, and they only sell the 3 Bs, beers, bait, and boudin. So that plan's shot. So we get to the Grand Isle Marina, and by marina, I mean a gravel parking lot with a concrete ramp that goes into the water and a lean-to that only sells beer and bait. And so I look around for my Great Uncle Dukes and his boat, and I see him over there, but I don't see his boat. I do see an anchovy can with a rusted motor on the back. So I walk up and I say, Uncle Dukes, hey, where's your boat? Doodle. You're so silly. And he proceeds to walk in and board the anchovy can. Well, there are no captain's chairs, but there is a piece of 2x4 just waiting to give me splinters. And quickly, my hopes and dreams for the day, the last of them, sink into the bottom of the Gulf. So we get in the boat and we're driving out to the good fishing spot that Uncle Dukes knows. And we get there, and it seemed promising. There was another boat, a real boat, a big one, and it has captain's chairs and a steering wheel and a cabin to keep you warm when it's cold. It also has a big shrimping net off the side of it, and the shrimping net sort of extends out maybe, 10, 15 feet, and then dives down into the water. And so we drop anchor, and my Uncle Dukes gives me a fishing pole and says, this is how you do it. You throw it out in the water, and you stare at the little ball on top of the water and wait for it to go under. And when it goes under, that means the fish has stabbed itself with the hook, and then you reel it in. Great, perfect, I got it. So I'm staring, and I'm staring, and I'm staring. Nothing's happening. Uncle Dukes, how long does it take to catch a fish? Devon, that's like asking how long it takes to get a perfect roux. It takes as long as it takes. Great, now I'm hungry. So I am cold, I am wet, I am hungry, and I'm a teenager that is very good at complaining. But Uncle Dukes, he is not fazed. He's still smiling. But we quickly realized that we need to change to another good fishing spot. And I quickly ask if I can drive the boat. And Uncle Duke says, no, Cher, it's the current's too strong. Well, my mother is definitely fazed by my complaining, and so she says, please, Uncle Dukes, let her drive the boat. It'll probably shut her up for just a minute. So I take the helm. Captain Doodle is now at the helm of the boat, And it's real easy. You twist the knob one way and you go forward, and you twist the knob the other way and it stops. So I get there, I'm ready to go, I twist the knob, and I twist it the wrong way, and the engine quickly shuts off. Well, the current then takes the back of the boat and drifts us right, the back of the boat where Captain Doodle is sitting, right into the shrimping net. Well, immediately I start flailing and being a little overdramatic, and I turn around and there's fish heads and fish guts, and it's just my nightmare come true. And I'm flailing, and my mother finally, she threatens my allowance, so I calm down. And I am not happy. My mom's not happy. The shrimp men are not happy. But my great Uncle Dukes, he's happy. He just quietly hums along as he slowly untangles me from the shrimping net. Once I'm free, I'm cold and wet, hungry, and a teenager. That's a great combination. And he then starts just talking for a few minutes to the shrimp men about bait and beer and relations, and not only are they not mad at him anymore, they give him a beer. So we continue on with our day, and we eventually make it back to Grand Isle Marina. And my fishing adventure is over. I'm still hungry, dried off a little bit, and man, I smell. So I take some cucumber body spray from Victoria's Secrets, and I douse myself to help with the smell. I eat myself a shrimp po' boy and congratulate myself on surviving my first and last fishing trip. Now, my great Uncle Dukes, he's been gone a long time now. He lived a life to be proud of. I still don't like fishing, but I am no longer a teenage brat. And I'm very thankful for that moment that I had with my great Uncle Dukes, because I think back on how he reacted that day. He never once lost his cool. He never once stopped smiling, because he was doing what he loved. And no matter how many things went wrong that day, he was still fishing, and that was better than not fishing. I think the only thing Uncle Dukes regretted about that fishing trip is that we did not catch one fish. Not one single fish.